Hi guys, look, this is a message out to all those people who are kind of annoyed with me or angry with me even for taking issue with Charles Ward, and I just want to maybe really clarify that, you know, the reasons why I am making a point of quite aggressively challenging him and exposing him, and let me explain why. So first things first, am I aware of what is going on in this world? Am I aware of all the stuff that you must now be aware of? Well, I've been aware of it for years. So everything to do with the royal family, to do with corruption at the top, all of that stuff, I know it. Yeah, I've been into this since at least 2015. I watch dozens of people, I read dozens of articles, and I don't watch mainstream news at all, and haven't done for years and years. So I guess I would consider myself to be at least moderately knowledgeable on this. I'm not saying I'm an expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I certainly know more than your average person. So why have I got an issue with Charles Ward? I don't have an issue with someone telling people good news for a change. In fact, it is wonderfully different to hear someone telling you something that is not doom and gloom at the moment, because every other trusted channel that I watch, the Corbett Report, the Last American Vagabond, those kind of sites are basically saying that, you know, we've got to be really vigilant, we've got to be ready to stand up for ourselves, we've got to be ready for some very tough times ahead. Things are not going to be good. We're moving into a technocratic era. Now, I've been with those channels for years and years, and they have proven their credibility over time. They do proper independent reporting. They investigate their subjects. They present evidence to support what they're saying every single time. Watch one if you don't believe me. Now, Charles is giving some information out, and he is actively persuading people to believe what he is saying. He isn't just saying, look, this is the information I've got, this is what I believe is going to happen. He only tells you to go away and do your own research when someone asks for some evidence and he can't give it, and then he turns around and says, do your own research. Well, I'm sorry, but if you're telling people something that's going to lead them to either be incredibly complacent, waiting for this great new awakening, or it could potentially, even worse, get them to do something like take a loan out now, because all loans are going to be cancelled fairly shortly. So why not take a big loan out, do something with it that I've always wanted to do, and not have to worry about paying it back, because in 3 months' time it's going to be cancelled anyway. That's my worry. Okay, so I'm thinking about the people who watch him. If Charles was clear from the outset and said things like at the beginning, at the end of every episode, if he said, look guys, you know, I just want you to know, although I've got inside information, I wouldn't want you to take what I'm saying as the literal proof. I wouldn't, for example, be complacent. Make sure you're looking at and listening to what other channels are saying. Do your own research. Effectively make your own mind up. Then that would be fine. But what he's actually doing is he is telling people, sit back, relax, don't worry, open up. Everything's going to be fine, guys. And that's what bothers me about it, is that. Because what he is doing, he is one man. I don't see anybody else apart from Q. And I've got my own views on Q, let's not get into those. But no one else is kind of saying, hey guys, sit back, relax, trust the plan. I think, as a lot of people would say, you know, if we'd seen something happen that can really say, okay, now I've got some faith in this. Because we are, look, time is of the essence at the moment. We are not talking about 2 years ago or 3 years ago or even a year ago. We're talking about a point in time. We have a window of opportunity, and that's it. And once that window's shut, sorry, but we're going to be coerced and kind of gently given no choice but to take a vaccine. And I don't want that bloody vaccine, thanks very much. And let me tell you, I'll spell it out. I've done this a few times, but I'm going to spell it out, how they're going to do it. They won't have to make it mandatory. They won't have to say, look, by law, you must be vaccinated. they'll just make it impossible to live if you don't. They will write it in to employment contracts that you have to be vaccinated due to duty of care to other employees. If you're not vaccinated, then I'm afraid you can't work here. That's one. Number two, in England, they will say, we've got the National Health Service. Sorry, guys, but if you haven't had that vaccine, then effectively that's your decision. We respect that. But unfortunately, our decision is that only people who've been vaccinated can come in and benefit from free healthcare. If you've not been vaccinated, then you are effectively a risk to yourself and others. And why should the general public pay for you? And then the third thing will be that once you haven't got a job, once you can't get any free healthcare, you'll want benefits, right? As in unemployment benefit. And they'll say, sorry, but I'm afraid that, in order to qualify for unemployment benefit, you need to have had the vaccine. So that's what we're moving into, and we're not moving into it in 5 years' time. We're moving into it potentially within the next 6 months. It's moving very quickly, and so that means that we have a piece of time on our hands where we need to be very, very vigilant. We need to be thinking about and planning ahead and working collectively if we can to say, how are we going to combat this? How are we going to try and ensure that this doesn't come to pass? Now, what Charles is doing is spreading a message that's the opposite of that. He is saying, sit back, relax, trust me, guys. Look, all I'm saying to you is, I hope he's right. Jesus, I hope he's right. And I will personally apologise to him and everyone that's involved with him if he's right. And I'll say, look, I'm sorry, I didn't believe you, I was a cynical idiot, I should have done. But the reality is, I don't want to be taking that risk where I sit back and say, well, because Charles has said it's okay, although he's not given me any real evidence whatsoever, because he's told me it's okay, I'm going to sit back and do nothing. And then when my kids are being forced vaccinated, I'm going to say to them, sorry guys, but I trusted Charles and then he let me down. And that, well, it's a shame, isn't it? But we've all got to be vaccinated now. I could maybe have done something. Now, what we're going to do, I don't know, because there's a lot against this, quite frankly. But I'm worried about this growing population of people that are listening to Charles. And because Charles is telling people good news, look, let me be clear with you. When I first started watching Charles's YouTube channel, I was one of those people, right? I was allowing that to kind of pull me away from looking at anything else. All I was doing was listening to things are going to be okay. I was literally bouncing around for about a week thinking, my God, it's all going to be okay. And this Charles, what a lovely guy. Maybe that is right. Maybe that's all correct. But I know enough about life, and I'm sure you do, to know that, things aren't always like things generally. In fact, things are never like this. Very rarely do you get a situation where something's going to come along and almost in one foul stroke just solve all your problems. Think about it, the fact that the people at the moment who control this planet, who pull the strings, who have total control over it, these people aren't going to want to just start giving away money to people. They're not going to say, look, we've got a beautiful system at the moment that makes us fucking billions and trillions of pounds, farming you as people, treating you effectively like willing slaves, but we're going to stop it all now, because there's King John. And look, if he can give me some understanding of how on earth that is going to happen, how is King John, for example, going to be able to oust the Queen and her crappy royal family, who I hate? How is she going to be able to get that family, one of the most powerful families on the planet, to just move over and say, yeah, come on, Buckingham Palace is all yours, you move in? Because he's got a few bits of paperwork and he's got a documentary out. Look, that's my point. I'm not trying to be malicious. I'm not trying to tell people, be negative, don't listen to positive news. I'm just saying, guys, please be cautious. Don't just fall for this stuff, because if he doesn't care, I actually do. And I actually do think that it's a real terrible shame if we've got people desperately hoping for this good news to be true. So much so that they end up deluding themselves that it is true, and they trust totally in Charlie, and then Charlie turns out to actually be either a psyop, in other words, he is there for a reason, to get people to be complacent and wait, and then when it's too late, it's like, oh, I was wrong, guys, sorry, or he's just deluded himself. That's fine. If you deluded yourself, then great. But to get another 60, 70,000 people in the same mindset, and to be regularly saying to them, chill out, relax. Everything's going to be great, guys. Don't worry. I think that's very irresponsible, and it is worse than irresponsible, because what he's doing is playing around with other people's hopes and dreams and lives. That's my message. And but trust me, I am not some miserable git. I'm not some person who's trying to support the establishment. Believe me. And I'm also not somebody who doesn't like to hear good news. I'm just somebody who is worried that Charles has got 70-odd thousand subscribers, and let me tell you, he seems like a lovely guy. Don't forget his background. By his own admission, he is a man who has helped the very rich, the super rich, in his words. He's helped the super rich, the royalty, and politicians make more money. So this is what he has done. He's done a job that's helped the very people that he is agreeing with you are the people who should be put in their place. Yeah, the people who shouldn't be enjoying all the luxuries while you and I have to struggle along with the day-to-day existence of living. So they're the things to factor in. I'm not saying stop watching him. I'm not saying he's a liar. I'm just saying just be a bit balanced. Those people who are just, who are just putting all of their hopes and dreams into what one man says, please just take a broader look. Please just look at some other channels, and I'll give you just a couple of recommendations. It's up to you if you choose to follow up. I'll give you just two. One is a guy called The Last American Vagabond, and actually I'll give you three. Another one is a guy called Spiro Skouras, Spiro, and then the other one is a guy called James Corbett, who runs a channel called the Corbett Report. Now, The Last American Vagabond and the Corbett Report have both been going for a long time. They have earned my trust and the trust of thousands and thousands of others, because they have not made predictions, because they have not said things are definitely going to happen. They've just informed, and they've given some general steer on where they think things are going. They've not told people to relax or told people to bear arms and go and attack. They've just given information, and they've provided evidence to support that information. And that, for me, is the massive difference between what they're doing and what someone like Charles is doing. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm just saying that I think he should think about the potential impact of what he's saying, unless he is so confident that everything he says is going to come true. And I hope so, because otherwise, if I was him, and if all this goes pear-shaped, and people have sat back complacent and everything falls apart, I don't know. If I was him, I would be feeling pretty bad with myself. Cheers, guys. Listen, if you're not hating me at the moment, then please subscribe if you haven't done already. I'd love to have you join my channel and have a conversation. If someone can prove to me, if Charles does, in any upcoming episode, because I watch them, if he at any point starts to present proof and evidence, apart from a couple of people having their student loans cancelled, then blimey, I don't care whether I look like an idiot, a miserable, cynical idiot. I will be delighted. Okay, cheers.